confused now. What is this?
Madam Chair and members, AB 1940 will require law enforcement agencies that deploy body-worn cameras to develop, through the collective bargaining process, policies and procedures on their use, including the recommendation of the best practices. The bill will also allow peace officers to view body-worn camera footage before they write reports and provide court and internal affairs testimony to ensure accuracy and memory recall. AB 1940 will restrict an officer's access to body-worn camera footage where serious use of force was used until an independent investigator is present and has validated the footage, and will require that all established body-worn camera policies are made available for public review. This bill also prohibits peace officers from using personally owned body-worn camera equipment on duty or copying official body-worn footage for an unofficial job-related uses. There are agencies right now that allow officers to use their own body-worn camera equipment or deploy these cameras without a policy. AB 1940 will fix this and become a default policy where there is none. Finally, AB 1940 will not affect a jurisdiction's existing policy agreeing to its own policy or changing an existing policy through the collective bargaining process. With me is Randy Perry.
Okay, testimony and support.
Madam Chair, members, Randy Perry with Aaron Reed and Associates on behalf of PORAC and the California Association of Highway Patrol. We're sponsors of the bill. I just want to reiterate to the committee, you've heard me say it pretty much all year, but our two organizations fully support the use of body-worn cameras by peace officers. We think it's advantageous for the public, for the department, and for the officer himself. We have worked for 2 years on this bill. We've been, like our other two bills up earlier, we've been trying to come up with policies that would update various areas of law dealing with to insert the new technology and to help us move forward with the use of body-worn cameras. This bill simply allows the department, if they are going to move forward, that they collectively bargain, not whether or not they use a body camera. So that's up to the agency, in our opinion, but how it affects the terms and conditions of employment. This bill was similar to a bill that passed out of this committee last year by Senator Huff, almost exactly the same. The only thing we added to this bill was the preview language of the video by officers. And as I've stated before as well, we think that that portion dealing with the preview should be something that's uniform statewide. So you wouldn't have various departments rolling up onto a scene. You would have a couple of the officers being able to review the camera, make their statement. It's an accurate, most accurate statement that goes to the DA, and then you would have one or two officers who wouldn't be able to view it and would be simply doing it from memory or something that could happen quickly and could taint the case, or at the very worst, put all the officers in jeopardy for something they say or do. So we just think it's a fair bill. We've had, like I said, 2 years we've worked on this issue, and we want to continue working on it. Thank you.
Madam Chair and members, Matthew Seiberling on behalf of the Association for Los Angeles Deputy Sheriffs, the Los Angeles Police Protective League, and the Riverside Sheriffs Association. And not to be too repetitive, but we are very, very supportive of this overdue bill. We think that there needs to be some legislation put in place to establish a baseline to get ahead of this rapidly expanding technology and to allow agencies that are moving into this to better the accuracy of their police reports, to have something to follow that actually mirrors the Department of Justice recommendations that they made at the federal level. And for those who already have a policy in place, much like the Los Angeles Police Protective League, this insulates that and protects that and allows them to move forward with their agreed upon procedures. We respectfully request your aye vote.
Madam Chair, Member Shane Levine on behalf of the California Statewide Law Enforcement Association and the Fraternal Order of Police and Support. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Danielle Kando-Kaiser on behalf of the Electronic Frontier Foundation. We are support as amended on this bill. We have worked with the author's office and we thank them for their time. We urge the members to amend section 832.19 to require officers to write their reports prior to viewing body camera footage, and to amend sections 832.19 sections 10 through 11 to require agencies to make their policies available to officers and the public. With these amendments, we will be in support of the bill. Thank you.
What was the amendments to the requesting? Not from her, but.
In the bill, one of the concerns, certainly that I had, was that this specifies that any policy adopted by a local jurisdiction would have to allow the officers to review the body camera tape prior to filing their report. And this is a problem. It is beyond the Huff bill. The Huff bill simply said every jurisdiction should have a policy, right? And I believe the Electronic Frontier Foundation just indicated that there had been an amendment removing their opposition, which removed that from the bill. If that's not the case, we should just clarify.
The only minutes we talked about with committee was
The statewide statement that any policy that is adopted has to.
The only amendments we talked about at committee that were that current policies would not be affected, because right now there are a number of policies in effect that have been negotiated through the collective bargaining process that we didn't have any effect on. And what's going on right now, most of your large law enforcement agencies have already established policies that we, obviously since it's been collectively bargained, we cannot have any effect over. So more and more agencies, as time goes on, are bargaining these things. So it's getting locked into statute or for those agencies. So that's the issue.
So that amendment has not been taken? No. Okay.
Go ahead, Randy.
Madam Chair, members, Randy, I don't think that amendment was, I think what we're talking about is we made, the amendment we took, we made the bill prospective. So it did not affect Oakland or any people who already currently have policies.
Is that
Correct.
the amendment you were referring to? I'm sorry,
My apologies. Okay, to clarify once again, the amendment that we are seeking for the author to take is that the officers are required to write their report prior to viewing the footage.
okay. No, that is not an amendment that's been taken, so thank you. Okay. So we heard from speakers in support of the bill, and are there speakers in opposition to the bill? We heard from the ACLU. Are there others? Oh, please come up to the table. Yeah, well, we get the same testifiers at each thing. I can't remember.
Madam Chair and members, Khalif Osagai on behalf of the California Public Defenders Association. We're strongly in opposition to this bill. I want to remind everybody why this body camera issue is such a big deal. It was the loss of innocent life, mostly of young African-American men, that led to the move to institute body cameras around the country. This issue is a direct response not to excellent police behavior, but to police misconduct. Looking at this policy of allowing individuals to review the footage before filing a report, but essentially allows individuals an opportunity to try to cover up or restate the misconduct that happened during the time of this video recording. I'm not trying to say that all video footage is going to contain some type of crime committed by a police officer, but I think that the truth is the reason these policies are in place in the first place is because of the type of things that happen with innocent people dying at the hands of the police. To allow them to review their footage prior to writing the report would mean that they're conforming their story to what's there instead of giving their own extemporaneous explanation of what happened at the scene. So if that's going to be the case, then whoever is the victim of the potential police misconduct, or in fact the defendant, should have the same opportunity to look at the video and say, oh, this is what I was doing when I got to that point. Oh, this is why I did that. Oh, I thought that wallet was a gun, or whatever it may be. This is essentially a bill that flies in the face of the movement to put these body cameras in place, and the only public opportunity to review is to review the policy, but there's no public input on the policy. So if individuals in the community are not satisfied with the policy put into place by these police departments, they'll have no opportunity to make a difference. Also, having an investigator there, an independently assigned investigator, during the time the officer reviews the footage, unless that person can read the mind of the officer, they're not going to be able to keep that officer from, again, conforming their testimony or their report to what was in the video. The point of these cameras is to capture what actually happened, and to allow the officer to see that and be able to come up with excuses or other explanations for their conduct when it was illegal and potentially took a life is a ridiculous thing to have in state policy. We should reject this bill. I urge your no vote. We have been through this before with bringing these bills forward, and I don't think that reducing transparency is the way to go when we're trying to address a real issue that impacts the lives of innocent individuals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair and members, Kevin Baker for the American Civil Liberties Union. We share the concerns. We saw, the committee saw this morning a number of bills where the police officers have proposed special rules that would apply only to officers. This is another example of that, where only the police officer is allowed to see this the videotape prior to giving in a statement. That is not only contrary to existing policies and practices at a number of police departments for a very good reason. It is also inconsistent with basic police procedure, because it's for the same reason, as we understand it, that you interrogate witnesses separately, because you don't want their testimony to be affected by what something else may say or not say. That's the way to get the most truthful statements, and we oppose the bill on that ground. Thank you.
Thank you. Others in opposition to the bill?
Madam Chair, members, Chad Andrews for the California Civil Liberties Advocacy. I'd like to echo the sentiments of our colleagues here and add that beyond the idea that this would allow a police officer who had committed some sort of misconduct to lie more effectively, which of course it would, even in the most honest circumstances, viewing the events that occurred from another angle will change your memory of them. There's ample research to show that watching video of your conduct will change the way that you remember it. This bill goes against the DOJ. It goes against Oakland's current policy. There's just absolutely no reason to allow officers to watch before their initial statement. Of course, they should be allowed to watch the video after having given an initial statement so as to be as accurate as possible. But we want their clear memories during the initial statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Others in opposition?
Madam Chair and members, Corey Salzillo here on behalf of the California State Sheriff's Association, regrettably opposed unless amended. We agree with much of the bill. We supported SB 175 last year. We have no problems with the provisions that require a policy if body cams are in use or that they be collectively bargained. Our issue is the requirement that the officer always be permitted to view the video. We think that should be an agency discretion issue. We often think that it's appropriate for the officer to view the video before writing a report, but there might be certain circumstances in which it's not appropriate, and we think management should be allowed to make that decision. And so we would remove our opposition if the bill were amended to say that an agency may allow an officer to view a video. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there is no other testimony, are there questions or comments from committee members?
I'm prepared to move the bill. I have no questions.
Okay. Senator Anderson has moved the bill. My position on the bill is the same. Well, why don't you close? And I'll...
Well, here's the thing. I'm not sure where these gentlemen have been, but Oakland's under consent decree. They're being controlled by a judge. There are many, many more police departments and sheriff's departments in the state. Most of the footage we've ever seen on TV regarding law enforcement has come from in-car cameras. Most of your police cars have cameras that are in-car cameras. That's where most video comes from. So for 20 years now, officers have reviewed in-car camera footage. A detective interviewing a suspect in an interview room, he's not taking notes the whole time. He's conversing back and forth with the suspect. He goes back and reviews that tape. Officers carry cassette recorders, I did back in the day, in my pocket to record conversations with suspects. So for over 20 years now, even 30 years with cassette tapes, officers have reviewed what has gone on with that. That is the standard right now. So if we do nothing and don't pass this bill, agencies will continue to negotiate and get body cameras. Most of your large agencies, San Diego, LA, have body cameras now. So when you do have bad actors, we want bad actors out of there. We want to catch that. I met with the ACLU on this bill. I've met with Dr. Weber, who had a bill similar to this last year, met with law enforcement. We met with everybody in opposition and support and actually crafted together a bill that I thought is pretty good to get us there. So it does a good job. So right now you have officers wearing their own body cameras, which I don't believe in, and having footage. That is just wrong to have that. There's nothing that mandates that. And this bill will prohibit that from officers from doing that. So, like I said, this one, we're never gonna, I think people are still gonna always disagree on it. But if we do nothing right now, we lose footage when we do have bad actors. And if there are bad actors out there, people do dumb things regardless of whether body camera or not, that camera will catch that footage. And the part we talked about for serious use of force, before that officer reviews it, before he reviews it, he has to be with a supervisor or internal affairs investigator. So my pitch is, yeah, everyone's not perfect. Let's catch the bad ones. So if we wait and this bill doesn't pass, we go into next year, there will be more incidents, be it good or bad, that will not be recorded or captured. And some agencies will never do it. So this is the closest we've ever come to getting a bill crafted that will actually work. And like I said, if we do nothing, they continue to accumulate body cameras. So I would urge you to vote aye on this. It's effective. And like I said, it helps root out the bad people. And let us not forget, people have been reviewing camera footage for 20 years now on the in-car camera. So I respect a lot of these folks back here that testified in opposition, but it's been going on. It goes on right now. Even San Francisco and some of those agencies in the Bay Area that have had a lot of problems, they review their in-car cameras. It's just specifically the body camera language. So I would respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you, Madam Chair and members.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I have to say, one of the things that comes to my mind in this discussion is what happened in San Francisco. It was with sheriff's deputies from another county, but were in hot pursuit, and when they got to make the arrest, they also horrendously beat up the person who they were arresting, and their report was completely different from what the camera showed, because the person was not, in fact, resisting and was really gratuitously hurt. So for that reason, not just for that reason, I can't begin to say how much time this committee has spent on bills like this and how much time we've spent trying to figure out ways to restore community trust in our police officers, which most of them are so good and they risk their lives every day and they go out of their way to try to help people, but they have not been good at dealing with the bad apples. They have not been good and successful at that. And further insulation is not going to get us there. And I do think in connection with the body cameras, and I've said this on some other bills today, right now, they are new. Some districts may not want them. Some districts may want to have very stringent rules or whatever. But I think it should be up to local option, and I would not take away the local option of saying that officers must file a report before they review the camera image. So I will have to not be for the bill today and hope that we can work on this, again, all these large issues moving forward.
Madam Chair, the bill doesn't take that option away. They still have that option in the bill.
Okay, look, you closed.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
Unless there's something I don't understand. I'll hold the roll open for the absent members, but would you read the roll for those of us here now?
Hancock?
No.
Hancock, no. Anderson? Aye. Anderson, aye.
T.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Senator. This bill establishes a route for a prosecutor to pursue a one-year sentence enhancement for those who are convicted of human trafficking. Specifically, the bill seeks to protect the most vulnerable victims targeted from runaway youth shelters, foster children, the homeless, or victims of domestic violence. Targeting foster children or runaway kids reflects premeditation on the part of the convicted party to purposefully seek out a particularly vulnerable person as a victim. Additionally, it undermines the principle that a society has a special responsibility to protect its most vulnerable citizens. Discouraging offenders from preying on the easiest targets in our community is critical to protecting these individuals from trafficking.
Witnesses in support.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the San Diego District Attorney's Office and the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office, I would like to remove our opposition to the bill. And on behalf of the California District Attorneys Association, I'd like to testify in support of the bill as amended.
Okay.
Covering a lot of duty today.
Yes, thank you.
But as amended, this bill is a good bill in order to get a enhancement on this case. These are vulnerable victims. We ask for your support.
Okay, thank you. Others in support of the bill? Speakers in opposition to the bill? Seeing and hearing none, do I have questions or concerns?
We've outlasted everyone else.
Basically, I agree with the Assembly member. We're talking about particularly vulnerable people. And I'll make a motion on your bill that we do pass to appropriations. Would you like to close?
Just want to thank you for working with our staff and for crafting a solution. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please read the roll.
Hancock?
Aye.
Hancock, aye.
We will hold the roll open for the absent members. Thank you. Okay. Senate Assembly Member Gatto. Item 25.
I'd say thank you, Madam Chair and committee, but I think it's just thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, right.
I'm here to present Assembly Bill 2440, which will allow law enforcement to solve some cold cases. Cold cases are, very often for the most serious and violent crimes. Cold cases typically happen when there's a rape or a murder that has not gone solved. But there have been advances in DNA science in recent years to allow more DNA to be extracted from evidence that might be sitting in a locker. And this bill would allocate $15 million to assist local law enforcement in solving cold cases. The cold cases, of course, tend to be the most heinous of crimes. These are people, of course, who are guilty, and it's just a matter, who have committed a crime, and it's just a matter of solving the crime and locating them. This is a bill that will help process the backlog of rape kits in the state of California and also help solve some unsolved murders. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Dan Filisato, on behalf of the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, we're in strong support. As the author stated, providing funding to help research the new DNA technology to help us solve these cold cases is vitally important to public safety. We ask for your aye vote.
Others in support of the bill? Speakers in opposition to the bill? Assemblyman Gatto, I think this is a fine bill, and I'm happy to support it, so I will make the motion. Would you like to close?
No, thank you. I asked for it.
Hancock?
Aye.
Hancock, aye.
We'll hold the
Thank you
roll
very much.
open for the absent members. Okay.